Going live. And here we are, guys. We are back. Welcome back to our channel. Hopefully everybody's tuning in, getting all on board with us tonight. It's Tuesday night, live action. So we got YouTube on tonight. Hopefully we got a few more folks on Facebook. I tried to share it a little more tonight to where we could get some folks to tune in. So you guys know the routine now at this point. You guys, we're like all pros at this. So
I wouldn't say that.
Put it in some comments. We see you on Instagram coming in strong tonight. So we appreciate it. A lot of you on TikTok as well. We got a little group stirring over there. And so what we're going to be doing tonight, we're going to be talking about continuing our conversation. That's what we're looking to do, to continue our conversation about cost. It's always a big question, right?
Number one question.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Number two question is, where do you build?
Number one question,
Number one.
how much does it cost? Number two, we'll worry about where you build later. That's pretty much it. Everybody wants to know how much it costs in our area in Texas.
They don't care where you build.
They don't care
how much it costs.
They don't care if we're going to be the builder or not.
They don't care if it's another state.
Yeah.
They just want to know how much.
So we're glad to be back. You guys are coming in. Thank you for letting us know where you're coming from. We got Virginia in the house, Kansas in the house,
Florida,
Conroe, Texas, Florida. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Florida. I think Brandon Flores is in here. He's from all the way from Waxahachie.
Yeah, Arizona.
So
Houston,
New Orleans, New York City.
Wow.
Let's Maypearl, Texas over here. Forney, Texas.
Instagram says no audio, but nobody else is saying that, so I'm not really sure.
No audio on Instagram?
That's what somebody said.
You might need to turn it on.
Yay,
I think we got audio. Hope you guys are doing well. We got Weatherford, Texas. We got Oak Cliff. We got St. Cloud, Florida. Carmela, Texas. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us the first time live. LaPorte, Texas. San Antonio, California. Moving to Texas.
Not San Antonio, California.
I'm sorry, San Antonio, Texas. Longview, Kerrville. Kerrville, do you guys have a special way to say that? I know in certain cities, everybody has, like, we lived for a short stint in Louisville, Kentucky, and everything was always Louisville. So you had to say it a certain way. I didn't know on Kerrville.
I got a bunch more coming in. North Dakota.
Lowell, Arkansas, Oak Point, Texas. So it's fun. It's fun getting on our end to see where all you guys are at, where you're coming from. Omaha, Texas. That sounds like a long ways away, but it's still Texas, right? Everywhere in Texas is a long ways. So
here, see on Instagram, we got Arizona, Fort Worth, Rowlett, New Mexico, California, Granger.
Yeah, and
Mount
so
Crawford,
we
Virginia, Wisconsin. Goodness.
We want you guys to experience with us, because this is a lot of fun. Where everybody's coming in from: Nashville, Tennessee, Wichita, Kansas,
I have some friends in
Las Vegas, Nevada, moving to Tennessee. Hey, we're going to be in y'all's neck of the woods
this weekend
coming up. Yeah, we're going to the International Builders Show over there. Looking forward to experiencing the mayhem they talk about. Tyler, Texas, Blue Ridge, Texas,
Missouri, Wichita, Kansas.
So
Montana.
Lots of fun. all of these areas. I want to go to some of these places. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Go on a Barndo tour. Y'all invite us to tour your Barndos.
What about that?
When you
What
get
if
'em
y'all
built.
just build your Barndominium, have us come, we'll come make a tour video of it.
Sounds like fun.
That was like our early days. We were enjoying doing
Yeah.
a little bit of that. That's how we met Stacy Lynn
Yeah.
back in the early days of her early beginnings with the Barndominium company. So exciting times when that kind of stuff happens and you just watch things unfold. And so it's a lot of fun. We're in the great city of Red Oak, Texas.
Woohoo. Big old Red Oak.
You know, big old city of Red Oak, Texas. A lot going on here today. We have groundbreaking new experiences happening. It's not a good day to be out walking on the sidewalks.
Oh, yes.
It's not a good
Where are you going
day
with this?
to be out on the roads here in this area because our second oldest son now has a driver's license as of today.
Yes, Jaden, we're really proud of him. He passed on his first try.
Yeah, so it was great. I got a chance to work with him a little bit doing some parallel parking, and you know, they said that
That's
was
the one
best.
part he didn't do good on. The part you helped.
I was going to say they said that was
He's a good driver because of me.
They said that was the best thing he did was parallel park. But no, it's a lot of fun. We're enjoying our family and stuff. But well, we wanna be conservative of y'all's time. So thank you for joining in. We're trying to get some good value, some good information about cost in our area. And you guys, I appreciate you all letting us know where you're coming from. We got Wichita, Kansas, Fort Worth. It just keeps coming.
North Carolina.
Scott Christian says he makes wood signs and wooden American flags and wooden turn pins. That's pretty cool.
Wooden Texas flags.
Yeah. How about that? You see that? I made that. You see that flag back there? Texas flag. I made that one. But it was really simple.
You made that one too.
Oh yeah. The Texas shape. Katy, Texas. Thank you all for joining us. So it's exciting. And this is the time where if you could just real quickly share this video with somebody else, that would be great. Let's get some other folks to be a part of this. So
for sure.
Let them know Josh and Brandy are about to spill the beans about cost on Barndominiums in Texas. That's what's happening.
So you're going to have some people that love us and some people that hate us.
Well, yeah,
you never know.
That's right. And, you know, I try to answer the comments as they come in on like TikTok, where I'm trying to answer in the comments as they come in as often as I can. And I haven't been, last year I didn't post as much on some of these platforms, but we're trying to really give you guys a lot more good content this year. We've got a lot of great builds lined up. And I can't seem to get out to every one of them and do the updates that I want to do just because we've fallen into a routine where I'm trying to do what I'm responsible for doing on a daily. So Boise, Idaho, welcome in. So we're talking about costs tonight in our area. This is the DFW Metroplex.
Turnkey cost.
Turnkey cost. Last week, for those of you that missed it, last week we were talking about shell only. Now the shell only is a great option for people who are maybe outside of our building radius a little bit, that the shell option is a good option for them when we could come do what we specialize in on building the exterior of the home with all of the interior framing. So we talked extensively about that and what it included. We tried to share a few pictures, but tonight we got a little more on the presentation side, just a couple pictures that will be supportive on what we're talking about. And the only place we won't be showing that here is on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok and you wanted to see it on one of these other with some of the little pictures that we're going to share, then you could jump over to one of the other platforms, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Or YouTube mainly is where we're at. So that's where our largest following is on YouTube. And we got a lot of them on here tonight. So we really appreciate it.
And we're going to go through these slides. We're going to go through some of the things that we include in a turnkey barndominium and the costs. as a standard. So we're going to go through that, but any kind of questions you have, if you want to post them now, that's great. We'll scroll back through and try to answer questions after we kind of hit, our goal of going through everything. So
to start off, we're going to give you some real information, and we're going to hit all this information and then we'll break it in, or we'll talk about what's included. I guess we won't read it all off at first, but first of all, our price, living square footage, is around $175 for living square footage.
heated and cooled space.
And that is not necessarily an exact. It's based on roundabout figures. Whenever we are doing our calculator and all of our estimating based on typical, that's what a roundabout comes to. Now, there's certain perimeters that will push it one way, and maybe a little slightly the other way. So that's kind of what you're looking at. We do have, for distance and all of that, we work a 60-mile radius. So for turnkeys, for our shell onlys, we talked about last week, those go up to 100. And we told you guys that we have a little flexibility on the shell only for the DIY option. So that is where we're starting. It's around $175. Now, that's no upgrades. We're going to talk tonight about what's included for that cost, and we're going to be sharing it a few times because we know we got people in and out on this on the YouTube channel. People will be joining us at different times, and so we're going to share some of this information a couple times. But let's go ahead and talk about what's included for that price at the 175.
Right, because whenever you're shopping Barndo builders, because there's quite a few of them, and there's a lot of them popping up that want to be Barndo builders. But just so you know, this is what we include as our standard of building. So that's why we're wanting to just show you so you can compare apples to apples. When somebody gives you a price or you see a price online, that what you're getting, and compared to what we're pricing. So that's why we're kind of wanting to just break that down.
And we're not trying to disqualify any other builders. It's not what we're trying to do. But what we do want to let you know is that we have a certain standard of quality that we're trying to build. So our quality or standard is based on something that may be different from somebody else's. Now, how do we derive to that, or how do we arrive to that? Is by coming up with some practical things that we feel like should be a standard based on good build practices, based on flashing techniques, based on all of the things that we're trying to accomplish. And so we're not having stringing along problems behind us when it comes to building a barndominium, because you have to kind of think, okay, what is the best way to build a barndominium? What is the best philosophy when you're trying to build a barndominium? Because we know they're trendy, right? We know everybody wants one. We know, or not everybody, but the people that do, they really want one bad. Or I call it the barndominium or bust syndrome, where it's like, I got to have this, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes try to make it happen. And in those efforts, sometimes people are throwing away the baby with the bathwater. And so our package is not throwing all that away. We're keeping good practices that we feel like are good for us as a builder, that we can move on down the road and have good success with our product. And so that's what it's all about. And for those that are wondering where we're located, I see a couple questions on that. Thank you, Michael. We're in the Red Oak, Texas area. It's just about 20 miles south of Dallas, off 35, between 35 and 45. And that's our location. So we work that radius. Now, like I said, we have a little bit of flexibility, especially as we may be already working in an area. So if you catch us somewhere, it's like, well, would you do another project? Possibly. Now at the office, sometimes we're quick to say no. So, but if you ask a couple times, sometimes we will. I know we had some folks call in today, and I had to help them out a little bit. So let's talk about what's included for that price at the 175.
All right. So first thing we're going to talk about that is really, really important. It's the foundation of your home. Especially in Texas, we have all different kinds of soils. We have all kinds of there's a lot of foundation issues across Texas. So we are trying to not have that. We send all of your plans to an engineer, and we're going to have an engineered foundation for your build every time.
Yeah.
It's not something extra that we give you an option. The only thing that we do give you an option on is whether or not you want to do a soil survey. But the engineered foundation is a must for us.
And so in talking about the engineered foundation, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of picture here of what we mean by that. This is usually what our foundations look like. You've got a lot of grade beams. As you can see, it almost looks like a waffle pattern. Now this picture is actually during the concrete pour. So you're seeing them already pour some of those footers with the concrete. But the engineered foundation on most cases in Texas includes a little beefier slabs, primarily because we have more expansive clays and soils that we're dealing with. And in some of the northern regions and areas, you don't have as much of a problem with that. So they have a lot of the designs for foundations in northern areas in certain climates or other areas don't require what we require down here in Texas. So some of our foundations require a little bit more, and we're pouring a lot of concrete. As you can see, these beams are probably 2 to 3 foot deep and about 12 inches wide. And you can see kind of what the coverage looks like, but it goes all the way around the perimeter as well as all the way through. Now that's also our porches and shops and all of that get the same kind of concrete. Here's a little bit later on the foundation where they were pouring that foundation in. So on that day, and we just wanted to show you kind of a little picture of what that looks like for the foundation, the engineered foundation.
One thing I was wanting to ask you to maybe go into depth on is we're not just putting rebar in these foundations.
Well, rebar is, I mean, it's a monolithic slab is what we're building, but so it's a monolithic slab, and you can look that up and you'll be able to determine a little bit more about it. But the better part of your foundation is approximately 4 inches thick, and then you got the grade beams that all fit underneath there, and it's all connected together. But she's correct, because we're doing what's called a post-tension system. Routinely, we're doing that unless the engineering is requiring something else. Like on one of our projects, we're actually doing a basement. So we got a little bit different configuration on that build. We're using all rebar. So a lot more rebar involved instead of using the post tension. So that is what somebody asked, what is our build time? And we'll get you that information. Basically, there's a few month wait period from the time that it's funded, and then you have an 8 to 10 month approximate build time once it gets started. So the whole process could take a year or more. So just kind of giving you that. Okay. What's
all
next?
Right. So next we're gonna
now you want to talk about the soil survey. I believe it's not included necessarily in a standard price, but she's been adding that because we more so do it on every build.
Sure. So it's not included in the standard pricing, but we do encourage it. It is up to you. You can sign a waiver if you choose not to do so, but it's usually, I'm sorry, hate these things. It's usually, anywhere from $2,000 to $2,400. I would suggest you do it. It's a little bit of an extra.
It can be a little less than that. It used to be a little less than that.
Everything used to be a lot less. I haven't seen it less than that in a while. So yeah, that's something that's not included, but I would suggest that you do it. I think you'll be glad that you did. You'll feel like you've gotten, your money's worth. And it's something you can't go back and do later. You can change your flooring later. You can't go back and change your foundation.
Somebody said, how do you do a meetup face-to-face, blah, 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 if we're trying to build and it's in our area? So we don't just do a site meeting immediately. There's a little bit more groundwork needs to happen for that process. And you would just contact the office and Also, you can use our Barndominium calculator, and that gets your name in our database as well. So we can start looking over your plan as you can submit that, approve that. It's kind of like the opening preliminary process to get started to build. We've got banks, we got all that kind of stuff. We can help you get started. So that's a little break in here to let you know if you are in our build radius and you're um, wanting to try to see what the next steps are. I just wanted to give you that information.
Right. And on our LinkedIn or our link
On
tree is
this link here, I'll put it up. It's called linktree.com. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, it's the link in the bio. You can click on it anytime. It's always going to be there. There's a Barndominium calculator. You can start inputting your information no matter where you're at. And that's a great resource that we've been able to put up there.
Yeah, there's a free PDF to tell you how to get started.
So number one, what's included is engineered foundations. Number two, I guess we're not doing number twos. We're just going to say
it's kind of the same thing we were just showing before and after kind of thing. So the next thing that we want to talk about that we include in our, do you want to?
Do I want to what?
Oh, I just had a question that came across about the concrete. Do you want to address that now or you want to do it later?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have Instagrams asking, do you ever use fiber mesh to the concrete for strength?
It's to add like fiber into the concrete. It's not routinely something that we do, but if the engineer called for it or if it's a special request, then we could make it available as far as that goes. But it's not a routine thing here in Texas. And you could also add wire mesh as well, which is common, but the majority of this is based on compression. So that's what you're trying to do, and you're trying to prevent heaving. So you want to build your pad. A pad site is included in price, but it should be around that price based on what we're coming up with in the 175. So that's not on our list, but the pad site, we are going to budget for a pad site on our contract. Our pad site, our engineered foundation. Now we're going to talk about wood framing and I guess she's got HVAC, but we're going to talk about wood framing. Wood framing is a part of our turnkey package. One of the things that we're going to talk about here is what's different about our wood framing is we're doing the interior framing is pretty similar to what you'd see in a conventional home. This is why we're able to do the finishes on a conventional home with the same pretty much finish style as any home. I mean, you're not limited to what you can do in a Barndominium. You just have more space, more spanning space as far as ceiling space.
No load bearing walls.
You don't have all the load bearing walls because none of these interior wood framing walls are supporting the roof lines because all of our steel framing is supporting our roof lines, which we don't have pictures of that. So we're kind of missing some information on that. But, as you can look at this picture, you can see our steel framing as it's spanning across. That is the main supports for all of the roof. So everything we're doing is more of a fur out type deal. This is what's called post frame construction. But ours is steel post frame. So we've got the steel with the red iron, and then we're covering this whole area with that steel. But our wall systems are different. As you see, now this is an interior dividing wall, but you guys have seen in some of our videos where we have the exterior walls, and that shows all of this zip system that we use. Well, you can't just put zip on purlins. So we use 2x6 studded walls. So that includes the studs, includes everything. A turnkey obviously includes everything. But what we're talking about is what is standard in our cost for the 175. It includes all these things, the zip system. It includes the engineered foundation. It includes should include the soil survey as well as the pad site, I believe. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to talk
Now,
about roof pitches or anything?
I might be getting some of that wrong, and I'm sure Crystal's probably, if she's watching this,
She's probably cringing.
she might be cringing. I'm probably saying some of that stuff wrong, but it's probably uh, the base price is the base price. But we obviously we do see them go from 175 to around $200 a square foot. But the base pricing is around 175.
But the zip system is standard in our builds. We're going to do it every time. That's going to be your moisture barrier. It's going to go behind your metal panels. And that's actually what we're going to go to. Our next one is the spray foam insulation. They're going to spray foam to that on the inside.
Okay.
So go to the next one. All right. So this is something we feel like is an upgrade. If you were to, any custom home, this is going to be an extra charge.
This is not an upgrade.
But it's not for us. I mean,
Yeah.
this is included for us, but we feel like it's a higher standard than just a normal.
Right. These are some of the things that are, I mean, everybody's got to have insulation. You're building a turnkey build, you got to have insulation. But we feel like the spray foam does give us an advantage with our efficiencies and our build methods, our build style. We did do a blower door test on one of our builds, the North Lake Barndominium, which got some pretty good attention. Had an air change score of like 1.03. So we don't do a good enough job probably showing some of that on the performance side, but our performance side is very, very, very good. And that is what a lot of our clients are going for, is the better efficiency. So the spray foam, it helps us to accomplish that. One thing I can show you is the roof line. You saw the pictures before showing the metal. We use a closed cell foam on all of this before, and it coats all of this before we put the open cell over top of it. So we make sure we have a good thermal break and that there's not any condensation that could happen. So air conditioning is a whole another thing that we can go into. But here you're going to see, I thought we had a picture. See it. Oh, there it is. Here you have the HVAC. You can see that back in the background on this build. Well, in Texas, we do commonly use the flex ducts. A lot of people love to complain about that when they're from another area and they see that here in Texas. It's just when we're building for air tightness and we're creating all of this envelope all around the build, it takes a tremendous load off of our air conditioning systems because we're building that way. So you got to keep that in mind. All of our units, all that stuff that are in these attics, they're like in climate controlled areas. Like in the heat of the summer when it's 104 degrees, you might have a wavering temperature of like 5 to 10 degrees different in that attic than you do the living quarters. So it's like climate storage, which is a big part of what people love about these builds. So like here you're seeing I've got an access door going into an attic. Well, they'll have an exterior rated door that goes there to seal that door off. All of that is like a 2x6 wall as well as an exterior door. All of these openings would be sealed off just like it was outside. So that shows you some of the spray foam. That's all obviously all included. The zip sheathing system that we use is included with all of the insulation. Now we're going to talk about what's base for what's expected for standard, like on windows. So anything that goes beyond like a 3060 is not necessarily a standard. You know, it's a so, when you got larger windows that extend beyond that, you have to finding out costs and all that stuff for what you're wanting to do there. Now, Also, another thing that costs more money is changing the colors of the windows. So you can do grid or no grid, 3060. Those are not upgrades, white or tan. But when you change the color to a black window, it adds some more cost on windows. Also, larger, like picture frame, triangular top windows, those are additional
Custom
costs.
sizes, custom
Yeah.
shapes,
Yeah.
like the Sadler build.
Right. So those are things. But what we're showing you here is your common, like standard grade windows. This is what your base prices are including as far as windows go. So
All right.
I think I covered all that. There's an excessive amount of windows too. So I can't remember what Crystal said, but if
Like
it's over,
15.
if it's over like 16 windows, but it really depends on the size of the house. But if you got a standard size house and it goes over like 16 windows, it becomes an excessive thing. Also, when you go to doubles where you got the side by sides and you're doing that every time, that's like adding to the cost. And so it's more of an evaluation based on all that. Okay. So that's your what's included for windows.
Right.
Okay. What's next?
Okay. So next is going to be your flooring.
Flooring.
Mhm.
So
So this is our stained concrete. You can pick the color that you want to tint, things like that, but that's going to be included. It's going to be, it's going to be kind of rustic looking. Sorry, I'm trying to stay in front of the microphone. But you'll be able to pick the tint if you want to, kind of go more of a gray or a brown. You can kind of change that up there. But that's going to be our standard of that's included in our pricing is the stained concrete. You just got to keep in mind it's a little rustic. You're going to see some of the cracks, the little hairline cracks there. There's going to be some blemishes that
what cracks?
yeah,
You
concrete.
can't be throwing that out there like you're going to have cracks.
Well, concrete, it's going to crack. So in some spots, it's just, you just got to keep that in mind. We try to cover and protect those as best as we can, but it's not always flawless across.
Yeah. So the concrete, you will see some little stress cracks at some point in time. It does happen, but obviously you're going to, all of ours is warranted. When it doesn't mean it's warranted from having stress cracks. It just means that your foundation is covered from any major structural problems. And we do have a standard warranty for all of our structure as well as mechanicals, um, which is your standard builder warranty on all that. Now we have the stained concrete is that's kind of like the basis, right? That's what's included. You also, another thing that's included is like the vinyl plank or I guess we're going to say carpet first. If you wanted carpet, now some of your carpet can step up beyond what's included. So this is a lot of times people do want to put a little bit of carpet in your bedrooms. So
And hey, that it would definitely help out. A lot of people are really concerned about the echo. So that does kind of,
yeah,
it warms up the room for sure.
So carpet in the bedrooms, it's the same, it's the same cost. Now, if you wanted to do a vinyl plank, this is the same cost as well. If we're doing a vinyl plank,
As long
up
as
to
it's
up to a certain level, it is
within the
there
allowance.
are standard allowances for that, but the vinyl plank is a nice option. And we're just trying to give a few options when it comes to flooring on a turnkey build. So this is what's included. Solid hardwood is not included. Some of your higher end engineered woods are not included.
Tile, if you wanted to do
Tile is more money on the bathroom floors. It's already included on the showers, but
right.
I don't know. We're going to talk about bathrooms
When
it comes to tile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Not sure.
I
I didn't look over this
I don't think the
list.
tile is actually called out as um
I did
anything in
look
particular.
over it. I just didn't analyze this list before we started this,
You always think of something.
but I'm going to think of stuff.
Okay.
So that's what we got there. The vinyl plank it's been a nice feature. A lot of people want it. Now we're going to talk about the trim, like on the trim carpentry. This is what kind of is included. We have your kind of more of a farm style, like a 1x6 baseboard versus this colonial
More traditional looking.
traditional look style. And both of those are included, whichever direction you wanted to go there. Here's an example, I think, of more I can't really see on this picture, but I think this is more the farm style, and this is more the colonial.
Yeah.
In this build.
Mhm.
And we're jumping around from house to house. I don't even know where we're at on these
I
houses.
couldn't tell you. I can't remember what I did yesterday, so I'm trying to remember which house that is.
So
Let us know if this was your house. I'm just kidding.
no. Now we're going to talk about cabinets.
Okay,
so obviously cabinets are included in a
yes,
turnkey build.
You're gonna get cabinets, and you're not gonna get a Home Depot special. You're not gonna get IKEA. There's not gonna be a whole lot of selections as far as we're not gonna install those kind of cabinets in your home. We're gonna have our cabinet guys gonna come
Nothing
through.
wrong with IKEA or whatever.
No, but we're not gonna do that.
Our stuff is because we're building to custom size. We're not trying to send off and order this stuff. And it takes a little bit more time this way, but we feel like we get the best results by working with a custom cabinet builder who builds cabinets. Now, when you talk about custom, that's a special word that's used in building a home. Okay. But we feel like all of our homes are custom in that sense, but we're not customizing each home to every particular desire that somebody has. It's based on a standard, and those are the standards that we're talking about tonight. So when it comes to your custom cabinets, they are going to be based on a certain standard. That standard includes either a shaker or a raised panel when it comes to like your door finishes. So here you're seeing the example of each.
And you can do a stain grade or you can do a paint
Right.
finish.
Yeah, we want to give people options because we feel like the selections are what really make all of this
Well, they give your house
different.
Personality, and it reflects what you are wanting to see there. So, and then otherwise they would just all look the same.
Jose asked, would it be extra if you wanted to stain wood trim and molding? I mean, technically, we're spending a little bit more for some of that on the wood trim and molding and doors. If you go to a solid hardwood doors, some of that adds to the cost. It's not automatically included for a solid hardwood door. I don't know if we cover that on the trim here. Might be another thing that Josh adds to the list. But the solid hardwood doors, the stain, I believe we are doing when it comes to stained cabinets and stained trims.
One thing about our cabinet guys, that's
Which
gonna
you
walk
would
through-
know it when you're seeing these change orders. So you're the one that does it.
When
She's the
we-
one that charges all the money.
Not me.
I'm
I
just
just
kidding.
collect it.
She's the one that takes the money.
So whenever when it comes down to time to do your cabinets, you're going to walk through with our cabinet builder. What is going to be included in your cabinets is we're going to wrap, your refrigerator. So you're going to have to let us know what appliances you have because we're going to build around those. If you've got a special, microwave drawer or things like that, we're going to build around the specs that you provide us for your appliances.
So appliances are not included in our standard package. So that's an additional cost. The reason why we don't include it because there's a lot of variables when it comes to selection, and you can have a $300 or $400 range to up to $10,000. So that's, and we've seen it all. So that's
it's just not included in our base price. So if you say you were our customer and you did have a package that you had picked out for your appliances, we can get that added to the bank loan. If you were going to be working with a lender, we can have that added as a line item. It's just not included in that pricing. So if you went and shopped and you picked out a $6,000 appliance package. We could definitely get that added into your loan if you needed us to do that, but
Yeah.
it's just not included in our base pricing. So that's why we're not
Yes.
talking about those.
So if you guys will hang on just a minute, we're going to take some questions here in just a minute and let you guys get that out. Let us try to finish going through some of this, what's included in our standard cost for the 175 per square foot. So next is the what?
I don't want to go too far before.
Okay, for cabinets.
On the cabinets. Also, one other thing I wanted to point out on the cabinets is that if you're wanting to do like custom drawers, a spice rack, trash drawer, things like that, totally we can do those, but those would be extra because they're not standard. So when you change the
it's not
doors,
major extras.
no.
It's just those are things that.
But when you change the doors, say you didn't want cabinet doors on the front, you wanted drawers because we do a lot of drawers in these homes. There's extra hardware. It's just different. You have to build the box. You have to build the actual drawer versus just putting a door on it. So
right.
There's going to be some things like that you're going to be able to customize if you want. You can add those things, but it's just a standard package of the finished cabinets, and they finish them off beautifully at the top with the trim and all that. So
this is a stain grade cabinet here, and you can see. Let's talk about what's standard and what's not. Like probably most of this was standard. A lot of times we would be charge extra for the glass in the top, but other than that, for the most part, this is standard. Now the Ventahood has a little more design to this, so it's more custom. This is probably an extra. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what you're dealing with. Now, I don't believe we charge extra for the X pattern in the island because this is kind of one of my things that I've kind of made a stamp, I guess. Now we do a pretty nice little Ventahood that has a little more of a shiplap design to it, like a knotty pine that you'll see if you look back on our Mansfield Barndominium, some of these builds. That would not necessarily be an extra, but on Mansfield, it was extra because there was double. They had two range ovens side by side. So we had to build a large Ventahood. So, but we use the same method like on our Tundra build. And we had, all of that. So
something else, obviously, you're going to need cabinets in your bathroom. I think that's the next slide. So you're going to have standard cabinets in your bathroom. You're going to have the over the toilet cabinet, for towels or whatever. What's not going to be included is if your drop zones. That's our new phrase.
Drop zones.
The mudroom area.
I don't think you want to use the word drop zone in a bathroom, but okay.
Whatever.
See how that worked? We're looking at the bathroom, not the mud room. The mud benches. What do you guys say? Is a mud bench known for mud bench area or a drop zone? This is a big
I call it a mud room.
This is a big conversation over here. So
I'm just calling it what you keep calling
it.
The
next time you guys see a tour video where we're debating, you'll understand.
You can definitely upgrade what your cabinets are made out of. So yes, if you wanted a particular, I think our Lucas build had ash. Didn't they do a white ash?
Wow, you're on a roll. You're on a roll. Lucas,
isn't that what they use?
White ash. Okay. I don't know. I mean, you can ask. We'll have to ask the superintendent. I don't honestly. We're losing the battle here.
I just saw a comment, and so they asked if you could do.
We can do ash
or.
I don't know about. My Lord, help us. White oak? Are you thinking about that? Good gracious.
Sorry,
guys. You guys hang on just a minute.
Sorry.
She might have to step out for a minute.
Okay.
We're having one of those live action moments.
Okay.
Uh,
So this is the stuff that Drew edits out for me.
yeah. Okay, where were we? We're talking
Okay, we're
about
talking about
kinds of,
bathrooms and
but I mean, it's a good point. We're talking about the type of material we're using. Sometimes some of the harder woods that we're using cost more money, but we use ash. Uh, we do use the knotty pine. We use the beech. I think was one of them that we've used a lot of in the past. Of course, we use oak.
but they all stain different. So
Yeah,
some of them really absorb the stain, and it can be a really. You'll stop.
James said so. The white ash drop zone is standard. Oh my lordy!
Oh, gosh, I quit. I didn't ask to do this. I promise.
I appreciate y'all.
Oh goodness. Okay. Let's see here. So
Shut down the live here.
I'm sorry. Okay, I think we already went through that.
So the only things like with your cabinets that are not included as well is like is doing soft close and yeah, soft close for all your hinges and stuff like that. It adds to the cost a little bit. And then also for those of you that are familiar, like you can design a cabinet where your shaker, say your shaker door fits flush with the cabinet. That's extra cost to be able to design it that way.
Right.
So,
And we do include the hardware for all the cabinets in the.
yeah, we got the hardware included. We got everything pretty much.
There's basically a budget for some of these other items. So that's what, as long as it was within budget, then we would.
So am I going to have to go back and show some of these pictures again?
No, because you did it. You went through as we were
Okay, but
talking
you're going
about.
to talk about granite now.
Okay, but that's not, it should be coming up.
Okay.
So this is a level 1 granite.
Hey, this is the build I was just talking about. Our little knotty pine vent hood right there. Now that's just a standard finish for us. Like we'll make those little pieces, and that's not extra cost for us. That's included.
Right. So
of course, the cabinet man's probably saying, "What's the extra cost for me?"
Yeah.
You know, but it's included in our price.
But as far as countertops are concerned, we include a level 1 granite. There are a lot of pretty granites that you can pick.
Amy's Presley. Amy Presley's on this drop zone. Okay.
Y'all act like y'all didn't hear that. Okay. So anyhow, the level 1 granite, beautiful. You can find some really pretty patterns to them. You can go pick out your slab as long as it's within that level 1 granite. There wouldn't be any kind of an upcharge. Now, if you did pick out a quartz or something like that, it would be based off of the slab that you selected. So we would have to get a price for you on from our fabricator to be able to give you a quote for that. So level 1 granite is what is included.
You guys got to stop with these comments.
Oh no. I can't read those. You got to keep going. I'm going to act like I don't see what you are saying.
Okay. Where are we going? I think this is just more showing the trim.
I think what she was trying to do with this picture is
Sydney,
we're going to talk about paint.
Okay.
So
Sydney helps us with this. And so we
put her on a task trying to find pictures to kind of go with.
Not that.
We're not ready for that one. We're going to get comments for that one too. So what this is on our paint, in our contract, it actually lists it out. So you're going to get one paint selection for each of these categories.
This is supposed to be two different colors.
Yeah. She was showing you that the bedroom is painted a different color than the living room on that picture. So you're going to get a main wall color. There's going to be one color you select for your interior trim and doors. There's going to be a different, you can pick all the same colors if you want, but you can have a different color for your exterior doors. Your cabinets can be a certain stain or a certain color that you want to have that done. And then we will let you do like an accent color on the island. So we'll let you kind of change it up there. That's really about it. Now, if you want to, like I said, change, bedroom colors, all the different colors in all the different rooms, then we would have to charge extra per color change pretty much.
Right.
So that's our standard. That's what's included.
All right. So the quick rundown is here's what's included without, and we'll go to the questions. Some of the
Not the comments. Leave those out.
So what's included?
You want me to turn it back?
So let me reiterate to you. If you're looking to build with us and you're wanting to work and you're in our build radius, you can go to this link. It's in the bio on TikTok as well as Instagram. You can go to, Travis is asking about lights and fans. And,
yes, that's, we'll talk about that in just a second, but I don't have we basically,
okay.
You want to,
if you're wanting to get pricing right now, we're trying to give you roundabout pricing, and some of that may or may not be included in the 175. Okay. But, it's a roundabout in that vicinity, 175. It could be up to $200 once you get all of your other stuff packed in there with mobilization and everything. So I don't want to mislead y'all either, but it starts out around $175 as your base price, and then I don't know what gets. I don't know.
So we talked
immediately. I can't tell you that.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we actually had a podcast where we talked about the things that you could upgrade on the exterior. And then we did another one that we talked about the things you could upgrade on the interior. And so you could revisit that and see some things that you might need to account for that wouldn't be necessarily included. We're kind of trying to tell you what we are including. But the next one other thing that is included, most of our houses need them, depending on, your location or whatever, we include a septic system.
Yes, the septic system.
So it's not a pretty slide, but it is. We have a picture of a septic system.
Yeah, and some people don't know, but in the country, this is what you get. But we install one of these. This is included in our price. It's a septic system. This is kind of the end of the line for the white ash cabinets in your drop zone. So we knew where that was going.
I know. As soon as I saw that picture, I was like, no.
This is it. This is the septic is where it all
ends up. Yes. So that is included. We will have to we'll send that off to a sanitation engineer. They'll have to tell us what we're putting there. Different areas require maybe just different systems. So
Travis, I appreciate you, buddy. You're staying on point. And so he's right. We got to talk about porch prices and shop prices.
Okay.
Make sure we get all that on there.
Hang on just a second. Okay. So we did have someone ask about the plumbing fixtures and the lighting fixtures.
Plumbing fixtures and light fixtures, all that's included.
So we're going to basically what we do is Crystal, she's going to give you a budget for each lighting fixture. So I don't know what those are. I don't have those in front of me, but there may be like $200 for your dining room fixture. So you can, if you want to go up from that, there's going to be a budget. And as long as you stay within that budget for all your lighting fixtures, it'll all be included. Obviously some of these extravagant
let me just say
expensive.
Say this, guys, we do have a team of helpers, people that help us with this. Like, I promise you, we do have a system for how we charge. We're just trying to give you a roundabout. So that's what's going on. But you're going to get lights. You're going to get flooring, cabinets, everything finished on the inside. The only things that are not included on our turnkey builds right now that I can speak to when it comes to things that you're going to need is the underground connections that come from either some long driveway or street when it comes to utilities. So you got to have you got to have water coming from somewhere. You got to have power coming from somewhere. Now we've got everything to receive that, but it's not included in our standard cost.
And you're going to have to determine that based on how far you're having to bring that. So if you're building really far off the road, then it's going to have to, that's how far it's going to have to
Another
go,
thing
so.
that's not included in standard cost is the access road. You know, some of these things we don't know. We don't know how far the road is from where the house is going to be. I've had them be almost 2,000 feet away from the road, where we had to build gravel roads going back to them. We have to put culverts, all this kind of stuff. Some of that, until we get to the site work meetings and all that, we can't really determine that you're going to need any of that. Also, if you're building on an unlevel plane, you know, where we have to add a little more dirt, that adds a little more cost to some of that. Before we go to contract, we try to get all that figured out.
Right, because we don't know what your land is like until we come and see it, so we can't include that in the price.
Or maybe you don't have water and you need to get a well. That's not included in the cost. So that's something that needs to be budgeted for. You're going to have to find a well builder. And in order to get that package included in your loan, I always recommend that those things you're kind of working on a little bit up front. So you want to get your, all of your utility budgets figured out when it comes to power, when it comes to water, when it comes to if you need a well, if you wanted propane, all of this stuff as far as that you're supplying to the house, those things are not part of a base price because we can't really know where to begin on that.
Right.
So also what's not included is landscaping. Although sometimes our pretty pictures on the tour videos now, Drew's been adding grass and all that kind of stuff. We don't charge extra for that. That's just all done through Photoshop. So, but there have been some builds where we do add landscaping and sod and irrigation, and we certainly are capable of adding that to it.
But a lot of times people don't necessarily want to include that into a loan if they're having to get it financed. That's something they may want to add later, or, tackle on their summer break or something like that. So.
And that's where we want to, we're not going to make that part of our standard. So we have to remove it for all the people that don't want it. Right. So what we try to do is adapt. Obviously, there's certain things that you absolutely have to have. There's certain things that you absolutely don't necessarily have to have a functional home. So you do need probably an accessible drive for construction. So that is going to be something that we're going to either tell you, hey, you need an access road for us to get in here to work, or you're going to have real time delays on this build because when it rains, I can't send somebody to drive 100 miles not knowing whether they can get on the driveway. So this is something that is
bring a dumpster or
Mr. Be Happy says, I have a client that has rated you as an expert. Can you please explain how to spray foam your roof? Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. So our spray foam on the roofs are done. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but we spray the roof lines with closed cell foam is what we use. And then we put at least 1 inch all against the metal. Then we use an open cell foam for the rest of it to gain the rest of our R factor. So hopefully that helps you out. If you have any more questions.
Somebody's asking about propane tanks. We don't install the propane tanks or the gas.
We're going to get We're going to get the septic system off of here.
Oh, yeah, it's not a pretty picture to look at. But we can't, the gas drops for the plumbing, that's going to be extra. That obviously your, every time you have a gas connection, that's going to be a little bit more money. So yeah, that's definitely something that we can add, but we don't actually
let me ask you this. In our pre-plan strategy PDF that we did for the free download, does it have what's included, what's not included?
I think it did.
I don't remember right off the top of my head, but for you guys that did not download that free PDF, we still have it on the link tree, and it's in our bio, and it's also being shown here. But we have the free PDF that you can download. This is kind of like a pre-planning strategy for your builds. and you can download that for free. You're not going to get spammed. You're not going to get, we designed this basically for those that are trying to organize their thoughts so that they are looking to build. So you go to the linktree.com/Texas Best Construction.
It's got lenders on there.
And there's a free PDF. We also put this up on our website if you can't figure out how to get to this link tree. But on there, we're talking about determining your budget. We're talking about location, talking about plans and layouts. We list a couple of different designers that we recommend. We talk about financing. We talk about.
We list a bunch of lenders on there.
We talk about how you might locate a contractor if you're not in our territory. You know, what kind of questions you would ask them. Now, on our website, we went and answered all those questions, which is good for you guys. If you're exploring Texas Best, we answered all these questions that we recommended you ask at another builder. So, and we may go through some of that stuff at some other time. There's just a lot of information, and so it's hard to get it all out here at once.
I'll try to break it up.
Travis says, what about second floor square footage? Ours is, it ends up being pretty similar to your first floor square footage.
And yes, Jennifer, when we do, so basically the procedures for getting us to come do a site visit, to check those kind of things for your utilities and things, the utilities and the, maybe the gravel roads or whatever. Basically, once you have your plans and you've submitted those for a formal quote, that's when Josh is going to come out to the property. He's going to take a look around, meet with you there, answer whatever questions and go over those things with you then. There's just no way he can come and look at every piece of property. I've had people call and say, hey,
I do come out before we go to contract with you. As far as to start a project, we're still a small business. I come out there, I'm going to look at the property. We're going to determine whether or not it's something that
he just wouldn't be able to come say, hey, I've got 3 pieces of property I'm wanting you to look at. That's where we just don't have, there's only one of them.
What access road will you guys come out to view the road process? Customer commits. A lot, yes. I mean, but we don't do that just for kind of kicking the can, or what do you say it? Tire kicking. We do come out, but it's usually a little further down the road in the process. Like, you've got a set of plans. We've already been working with you on pricing, all of these kind of things. Travis says, do you build safe rooms as well? Yes, we do.
Got one on the Poolville coming up. And then we also had one on there was a Whitney, not a barn though, it's a Whitney farm style home. We did a safe room on. And then we also did one in the Tundra. There was one in the shop on the Tundra that wasn't there.
Yeah, it was a bolt down. So usually people do like a bolt down, and
just something that was installed.
But we're building like a bunker on another one where we poured a basement, and we got some stuff like that going. But we can do all sorts of things. Did we answer all these questions? Propane tanks.
We were a few of them, but no, we missed quite a few,
I think. If we've missed your question, please put it on right now. We're going to look right now. Put your questions. We're going to try to answer a few questions here. And I appreciate you guys sticking with us. We got a really good group tonight. I mean, a really good group. So let's see. A great group here. Appreciate all of your time. So go ahead and punch in some questions for us. We're going to catch some of these. Somebody said, does vaulted ceilings cost more? No, the vaulted ceilings do not cost more for us, because we're creating those vaults with our roof frames. So that's a key advantage in a barndominium, is you can have those big open areas and it's not going to cost you more money.
Okay, I have a question from Instagram. It says, have you put solar batteries or generators on any of your builds? And we actually don't install those as a company. We don't. But we did have a client that had solar panels put on, and that was actually on the Mansfield build. I don't know if did we show that on the video on the Mansfield build? Definitely you can. We don't do that. It would be something that you'd have to kind of add after the fact. Now we have had
I'm sorry.
generators installed.
I was answering a comment.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Solar
Solar panels,
batteries, or generators.
You can certainly do solar panels, all of that stuff. It just whatever we need to do on our part to make and facilitate that. We do have a little, we have fees involved, and we'll work to make it happen. We're not a builder that says we're only doing this. We're not going to help you with any of this. A lot of these utilities we end up doing ourselves. We put the roads in. We're doing all this stuff. It's just not part of the standard cost. So we'll work to put these things into your budget so that you can get them done. So we can do all that. A tankless water heater is extra. Bob, thank you for the question. So tankless water heaters, but standard water heaters included, obviously. The tankless water heaters, I believe it can be anywhere from, I don't know, at least it used to be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. So let's talk about yes, $175 to $200 per square foot for living square footage. And then we've got the shops, which are approximately anywhere from $50 to $60, and our porches, which are around $50 per square foot. So some of these, used to be a little bit cheaper, but on our porches we do covered soffits. We have a little more involved on some of our trim, and we've got electrical and all that stuff included, as well as the concrete and all that's entailed there with gutters and downspouts and all of that. On our shop areas, we have insulation and electrical. Those tend to be a little bit bigger, so that's why you're seeing some similarities in price because of the coverage space. But it's also, we will budget in for overhead doors. Those are some of the items that get added. So depending on the size of the overhead doors. But when we do a contract, I mean, we have our contracts are very straightforward, let you know what's included. And also we do a draw schedule so that you can submit to the bank, so that the bank and you are, as we submit draws during the construction, you are notified at every draw.
And you have to approve everyone. And we only draw based on what's been completed or maybe ordered. If we had to special order a big window package, we would draw for a portion of that. Let's see here.
Ron Ellis, we still do not build in Florida, but I appreciate you calling in, and wish we could. I mean, we're like I said, we're still just a small business here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, trying to do big things, but we're trying to share information so you guys can begin maybe your journey.
Yeah, we have a 60-ish mile turnkey radius from Red Oak, Texas, 20 miles south of Dallas, 100-mile shell option. I know a few people are asking now.
Justin Shaw says, I live in Pennsylvania and would like a basement. All I can tell you is basements are expensive based on what I know so far here in Texas, but we are doing a basement here. And one thing you're going to want to make sure is that you're in a good soil that is favorable for that. Based on the soil test and all that kind of stuff, they're going to evaluate that. The engineering will evaluate that. So Travis asked another question here, talking about residential eaves. I'm assuming you're talking about heights, or what are you talking about? So maybe clarify that a little bit. Are you wanting to know what a typical standard height is on a single story? Should be around 10 to 12 feet. How many builds do you do on average per year?
Depends on which year.
Depending on which years, but on average, it could be 12, 15, 17 homes, something like that.
He's asking about the eave height.
The height, yeah, Travis. Hopefully that answered your question. That's the single story. Now for 2 stories, you're going to go up to. I prefer a 19 to 20 to 21 foot for a 2 story, but it really depends on your design. Like you might not need to, have it that tall on the sides if you step it in. Like on our hilltop build, we stepped it in and used some of that shorter height. That was a 14-12 pitch on the hilltop, and it was really cramped, but that was just supposed to be attic storage, which we turned to a 2-story build. Don asked, what is your average build time, start to finish? That is, well, we got a approximately 3 to 4 month wait period to get started. Once you're funded and contracted with us, then it's 8 to 10 months of build time. So it could take up to a year to get into that thing. Now we always hope that we can turn them faster. Chase is asking, will y'all build in the Waco area? Yes, we do. And we have some builds coming like in well, we're working, in the Whitney area right now. We're in, we've worked in Hillsboro. We actually worked in Clifton. We worked in McGregor. We worked in Riesel, down that way, and the surrounding areas. We're working. So I don't mind going that way. It's when I have to go through downtown Dallas to get there. That's what really gets us.
Yeah, or off of a major highway where you're having to go way out into the middle of nowhere and it takes forever, and it takes, forever to go grab materials or whatever. That makes it a little harder.
Okay.
I actually cooked supper tonight. I was done by 6:00. I don't think Josh ate any though.
I cooked supper. Yeah, I can't really eat before I sit here and do this because it gets me messed up. Somebody said, "Do I know what happened to Eric Cortina, Texas Barndominiums?" I don't know. Frankly, I don't know. I know that he's doing some pretty cool stuff with guns and machining and doing that kind of stuff. He's got another channel, so you can look him up. And I wish him the best. I wish he was still building.
Yeah, because we got a lot of people asking about San Antonio.
Yeah, I get people ask me about the San Antonio area all the time.
Yeah, and that's too far for us. We don't do radiant floor heating here much, if at all. Texas is hot. We're not usually trying to heat our slabs.
Travis, you got a lot of good questions. Standard wall heights in bedrooms. So our standard like ceiling heights, I guess is what you're trying to ask, is like 9 foot. So that's typical. Now, sometimes people will have more, might want an 8 foot or something like that. But what we're based on is around 9 foot. Our standard height for cabinets is around 9 foot. We feel like it gets it a little bit, it just gives it a little more extra feel. And that's our standard. So 9 foot. 6-8 doors, that's standard. When you go to the 8-foot doors, when you go to 10-foot ceilings, these add to your cost. So those are extras. It's a very good question.
One thing I'd like to offer you guys as a resource for finding a builder in your area, we have a Barndominium Facebook group. It's called Building Barndominiums, and there's people on there from all over the place. They'll help you if you throw a question out there and say, "Hey, who's building your barndos in this area?" You'll get a lot of responses. Usually, it's somebody they've used or that they know, and they'll sure tell you if you shouldn't use somebody too. So that's definitely a great resource that you can go check out. But you can also contact local metal steel supply companies. A lot of times they'll have preferred builders that are maybe doing their kits or whatever. So that's definitely a couple of places you can check into.
Matt Bell says, what is the best way to reduce the echo in a barndominium? So honestly, is to move into it. Number one, if you guys are watching a lot of our tour videos, it's just empty. These houses are empty. I'm in a big shop right now, and we got a little echo in here too, but we've got some stuff in here, a little bit of stuff. So that helps with some of the sound.
Yeah.
Well, when you start
rugs and furniture and things on the wall, and
you start putting stuff on the wall, you start doing this stuff, it really helps. But there are, I think Matt's on, what he's talking about is there are, like, where you have the large vaults, it's hard to get rid of the echo, right?
Yeah.
Like when
your flooring will make a difference too. You can.
My parents' big barn door they had for years, it was very loud in the big great room. They had a 2,500 square foot great room.
It was just all concrete.
It was concrete stained floors. Concrete. They had rugs. They had all this, but it was still very loud with a loft above.
That's what made it loud, I think, is
because it would just reverberate across.
Have kids running around doing donuts.
And I think the answer is you got to build you a nice quiet area that you can break away into. So because you got to, that's just part of it. You got to deal with it. Now you can do acoustical panels. There's things like that. If you go to restaurants, you'll see how they use acoustical panels. But that stuff can get expensive. If you go to also in churches and stuff, you'll see it. That stuff can get expensive. Interior wall insulation. Good question. Travis, you're killing it tonight, bro. So the interior wall insulation, all of our insulation is just all the exterior. So additional soundproofing could add some additional cost, depending on to what extent. We don't mind if there's a bathroom right there off a living room, adding a little bit of insulation, like a little bit of R factor, but we're not going to insulate every room and include it. But a lot of times my clients, they want to add like some rock wool. With clients at the Whitney farm style build, they added some rock wool on all of their interior walls, especially the dividing walls from one room to the next. So, okay. Let me catch some questions here on TikTok. We always get some wild stuff going on over here in TikTok land. What's the furthest city in North Texas you've done a turnkey? Probably where we're at right now. We're in the Whitesboro area.
Callisburg was right.
Callisburg. It's up there close to Gainesville.
Sadler, was it?
Sadler is right there. They're all neighboring each other, but we worked in Sherman, which Sherman was a little bit even farther towards us. But that's as far as we've been going. It's almost to the Red River. I don't know. I want to. We're not really going into Oklahoma, so.
Let me tell you guys, we we put some miles on some vehicles. We were just looking into the kind of mileage we have on these trucks. Just driving those.
Maria, we do go to Royce City.
Distances. We
do work in those areas. We're working out in Canton. We're working out in Tyler right now. Wills Point. Like Malakoff, Athens area. What else?
Seemed like I saw
sound deadening for the drop zone.
I don't do well with lives. I don't think I need to be able to be edited. Russ County. I don't know about that. Can't look it up.
Somebody says, help me. I worry about metal roofs and spray foam in regards to water leaks. I mean, I think it's a good concern. And if you're super worried about it, if you watch where I talked about navigating wall flashings and details a few episodes back, I talked about, flashing details. And the reason why we use the products that we do. But I also shared in there that you could increase, or bring in your purlin framing and put decking like a zip on the top. So you could completely wrap your whole roof system with that. And then you can put any kind of roof that you wanted. You could put a standing seam roof where you don't have any exposed fasteners, and it's going to ensure maybe less worry, less concern about it. Also, it allows you to change the roof at any time without having to deal with the spray foam. So there's ways to go about it.
I've got somebody asking, they're a musician and they want to know if we've ever built a soundproof room in any of our builds.
Completely soundproof, I wouldn't say we've done it to that extent, but it'd be a good challenge. I'm a musician too.
I've also got somebody asking about a black barn door and if it's, like causes too much heat or whatever.
A black barn door. So the North Lake Barndominium that many of you guys have watched the tour video on that has a black roof. That was the one I was telling you. We got a pretty good blower door test in June, the hottest month of the year. So I don't know. I guess you could say June, July, August. One of those are the hottest. But it was in the middle of summer in Texas, and we got a 1.03 on the score for that open door blower door test. Yes, we do work in Roy City. Lenders for barndominiums in our area, we have quite a few. It's on that sheet if you want to download it on our link tree on the link in the bio. It's a free PDF that we've got on there. We got a list of contact information for lenders, a couple of lenders that we use if you want to spout some off that are local.
Yeah, we in regards to somebody else asked about a VA loan. Cowboy Bank has done a few VA loans for us, so we didn't actually deal directly with the VA as far as the funding part. We basically built the house with a lender in the middle, and then the VA was finalized with the lender. So we're VA approved or whatever, but we're not dealing directly with them. It's a little harder, I think, on the draw schedule and things like that. So that Cowboy Bank has worked with us a lot on, they've done all of our VA loans. But we have a list there. Goodness, I had it open a second ago.
Yeah, go ahead and you get that.
Okay.
Montana said no insulation in interior walls of barn door I saw the other day. Is that a problem? Your opinion? I don't believe it's necessarily a problem. I think if you want to add it, it's really not hard to do. Sometimes I'll let my clients come in and put that in themselves if they want to. But if they wanted to change the order on adding as much insulation on interior walls, we could do any and all of that.
Okay, then on our lenders, we've got Cowboy Bank and Maypearl. We use American National Bank, and there's actually contacts for individuals and phone numbers on the PDF that we have on our
Cowboy Bank, American National,
Rural First, Ag Texas Farm Credit, Lone Star Ag, Community National Bank, Prosperity Bank. That's just a few of them.
Those are just a few in our area that we work with all the time. I've been going back and forth with people on comments sometimes who are convinced that financing is the biggest challenge of barndominiums. And in Texas, it's just not.
I mean, the main thing that you got to keep in mind is the big banks are not looking to do construction loans. They're just not. There's a lot of small banks that are trying to not do them too. But if you'll reach out to a small local bank that's close to you, that you can have a personal relationship with, a lot of times they will do a construction loan for you. They're going to be easier to work with because they're smaller. They're not going to have as many hoops to jump through and all that. So reach out to a small bank. That would be my advice.
I don't have any recommendations necessarily for anybody out of state currently, other than somebody that would be well known that you might already know of. So I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm just doing the best I can in the town where we're at, and so I'm sorry, I do not have. Will they roll over a low balance on land loan to a construction loan?
So yes, if you had an existing loan for a piece of land, and say you decided you wanted to build on it, the bank is actually going to pay off that existing loan because they have to be able to
The-
lean on that property because once you start building on it, they can't just put a lien on the building and not the property. It's all going to be tied together. So they're going to pay that off and you're going to have one payment versus making a land payment and a construction loan payment.
Yeah, it complicates it a little bit. So they can't just add a loan, they got to have they want to own it, the land that's under the house too. And that's just the first rule of thumb. They'll buy that first loan and then give you a new loan with an interim construction loan. And some of these banks are doing that where they do like a one-time close. So all of that is very important in getting all of your your upgrades, your budgets, all that stuff ahead of time. So it's a very important part of your planning, which is why we made this free download sheet for you guys. Is it easier if you own your own land first? It's really not. It don't have to be owned outright, but you definitely need to have the land. At least building with us. Like we're not selling a finished home with land already. So ours is we're going to build on your land. That's what we're doing. Chase is saying all kinds of stuff here about Brandy's awesome sauce and filming the build. And
yeah, we do video all of our builds. That's one thing that we have kind of in our contract.
It's kind of in our contract that we'll have the chance or the opportunity to be able to just showcase or to be able to.
Well, we can do as many
film it.
updates as we can. Sometimes we don't get to update as often if maybe they're really far away or just time doesn't allow. But we do try to do, multiple videos on each one, but we do the tour video at the end. We do not disclose addresses. We don't take people out to the private properties, and we're not going to tell somebody how much you paid for your house. Don't worry. We got a lot of people that want us to, but
Devin says he needs Brandy to design his barn door.
I don't know that you want me to design it.
Somebody said, I think a lot of times if you say you're building a barndominium, I was told it should be called a custom build home. Well,
in other states, that's probably
in other areas, I think it does become some tic tac, what does this person think versus that person? What is the assumption? And I've had some conversations online with people who assume, like I said, that financing is really hard. But in Texas, it's not. I think it is important to know who is building and that you got a good plan for that. And when you bring maybe a contractor quote from a builder that has a full draw schedule and it shows the finishing schedule and you have a decent set of plans that shows what you're going to build, I think, and you're organized in your efforts, that is how you can gain the respect when you're taking and presenting that to the bank and saying, this is what I want to build. This is my builder. This is, and when that's the case, at least in our area, from what we've seen, it's no problem at all. But in some areas, maybe where there's presumed ideas about what it is, where somebody's just trying to get away with something, or, that's where you got to kind of work through some of those preconceived assumptions about what you're trying to do. And, might have to use a little you might have to use a little bit of different terminology when it comes to what you're describing and saying it's a custom home, but this is the quality, this is what it's going to be. And that way they can get a good appraisal, because that's what it's about with the banks. They want to get a good appraisal and they want to have confidence that what they're building is going to have the value when it's done. That's really the most simple part of it. Is the resale. Is there a downside to putting purlins on top of I-beams? I've noticed both on your build. Seems the eave would be easier if purlins were on top. Montana. So that's a good question from a framing aspect. We do like to put our purlins inside of the beam because it takes up less space and I don't have the exposed beam. So we like to do that. There are some occasions where we'll go on top and we'll put the purlins on the top. But I really like to go on the inside because it gives me a real tight closure when it comes to the A-frame on the sides. Because as you can imagine, you got all those, you don't want to have the purlins on the top, then you got to figure out a way to close that gap at the very top. So that's a little technical question for the framing side.
You want a personal question
What?
from Instagram? The musician that asked earlier about soundproof rooms wants to know what you play.
Oh boy.
What don't you play?
I play the piano. Play the
Drums,
drums. I play the saxophone.
guitar,
Little bit of guitar.
and he sings.
And
I mean, there's nothing he can't do.
yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
And he's got a perfect beard.
So, what else? What else? What else? Somebody says, as a lender, that's not an issue. If you have all of that, then it should work. Teresa said. Thank you, Teresa.
Preston, if you want a estimate on a 40 by 60 dried in, you can definitely use our Barndominium cost calculator on our website or our LinkedIn, or I mean our link tree. I keep saying LinkedIn, link tree. It's got, you can do a shell option or a turnkey estimate, and it'll give you an immediate quote based on the information that you give it. And then if you want to proceed, then you would actually submit your plans and we could get you a formal quote. And then Josh will come see you if you.
Yeah, you get to meet me. I mean, if you pay that kind of money.
That is one thing we do. I'm just going to throw this out there. Once you submit for a formal quote, we actually we require that you pay a $500 deposit. And if you use us for your build, that deposit goes towards your build. So you'll get that money back. It's just kind of to kind of weed out shoppers, I guess. I mean, not shoppers, but I mean, Josh just can't be at all of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of inquiries. If you guys understand, like our Barndominium calculator has had like almost 10,000 visits. So just to give you an idea. So that doesn't, like, we're not coming to every, we can't come to everyone. So at the end of the day, we have a certain nucleus of people that we're trying to find you. It's more of us trying to find you. Well, we got to answer the phone how many thousands times, how many 500 times, so that we can find you. Okay. And that's what that's all about.
I've got a couple questions I want to answer real quick because I've seen it a couple of times on Instagram. Somebody's asking about horse stables and if it's possible for it to be attached. So absolutely, if you have it in your plans for it to be attached, it can be attached. We're the one that we're actually doing a horse barn. This is kind of our first one that we're.
It's not a house and a horse barn, but it's a horse barn.
It's got a separate horse barn, but it's going to be really cool.
Really cool. The black gold Barndominium.
One with the basement.
I'm way behind on doing updates on this build, but it's really, really cool. I saw some pictures today, and I can't wait to get over there because it's going to be like something out of Yellowstone.
And Travis, our plans are not a part of the build as far as the, we don't actually do those. So you're going to have to provide the plans. So you're going to get your plans drawn up, and then we're going to build from it. So they're not included in the build.
We do have direction on that. You could buy some pre-made plans through our friend Stacy Lynn, or we have a designer that we work with as well that can provide, that can do a little more simplistic plans, but you're not going to get the 3D fly-throughs and all that. But we've got it covered on that. So,
and as far as like, I've got somebody asking, does the floor plan, hang on, you scrolled up. Does the floor plan of a barn door have to be a 4-sided rectangle? No, you can change it up, but you're going to add potential costs with your roof line having to be changed multiple directions or whatever.
There's a certain amount of perimeters that we're trying to maintain when you're talking about steel framing. So we're not just going to try to build anything that you would maybe
in a traditional house.
better be able to build in a traditional. Like there's certain times where it's leaning the other direction, and I'm saying, okay, it would make more sense for us to do this in a wood frame, and we did it. The Whitney farm style build is completely wood frame. So in that sense, in that case, uh, we recommended that, and that's what we did, and we were able to do it better that way, because trying to force this method wasn't ideal. So let's see what else. Does it carry the same load when purlins in between I-beams as it does with the stacked on top of the I-beams? Well, for most of the cases, Mr. Be Happy, I think you know the answer to these questions, but like ours, we're not doing the maximum distances. So keep in mind, load wise, we've got walls up under these as well on some of these. But when it comes to load, sometimes we're only going 15 to 20 foot as opposed to maxing it out like 25 to 30 foot on our purlin walls. So if that helps you answer that question. Devin, I just, so we have a guy named
Alan.
Luzier, and we have Stacy Lynn.
And their names and contact information.
And we build from other drawings that people purchase from other places. Sometimes we have to make accommodations based on the style that we build. Just asking for a friend. Yeah, right. I appreciate you participating and being here.
Is it more expensive to go up than out? 2-story or we've talked about this in another episode, but we have a price per square foot on the heated and cooled. So we're going to charge the same, where you're going to see a difference. In the 2-story is going to be potentially with your, maybe like stairs would be something, if it was a standard staircase, it'd be one thing, but a lot of times you could have, a grand staircase with railings and all the things that, that kind of stuff would not be, that would kind of be an extra on top of the price per square foot, because it would be kind of a per job basis that we'd have to look at. So
I think we've literally reached the end of the internet almost.
Yeah.
What additionally do you guys want to know? Okay, to recap.
Yes, fireplaces are extra.
Fireplaces are extra. So to recap, our pricing per square footage is anywhere from $175 to $200 right now for living square footage. That's what's all included. Engineered foundation, all of our wood framing with the hybrid style Barndominium with the zip system, 2x6 exterior studded walls. All of our roof structures are at least minimum 8-inch purlins. We've got welded steel. All of our stuff is welded up. Now for porches, it's around $50 to $60 mainly, and then in your shops, it's around $50 to $60 per square foot. So you can do the math. Now we also have the Barndominium calculator on Linktree, which we got shown here on this screen, and it's in the bio on TikTok and Instagram. But the Linktree has the Barndominium calculator right there, and you can punch in numbers, you can play with it, you can edit that as many times as you want. You can kind of work your budget to try to determine what would it cost you. And so that's what that's there for. It's for you so that you can gain that insight. So I encourage you to use that tool. Like I said, we've had thousands of people be able to utilize that. It's really helping. And it enables you, if you're wanting to build and you're within our 100-mile radius out of the Red Oak, Texas area, then it enables you to find out what kind of feedback you're going to get from us based on square footage. It also helps you as you're designing your plans. So it's linktree.com. I'll put it in the comments, but it's linktree.com/Texas Best Construction.
As far as the calculator is concerned, you don't necessarily have to have plans already. You can kind of do some hypothetical things that you know you're going to want. So you know the square footage that you're wanting to build for living or shop area or whatever. And you can kind of play around with some different numbers. That's the great part about the cost calculator is that I'm not, we don't have somebody in the office having to sit there and give you a quote for every little thing you want to change or whatever. You can use it as many times as you want. I know over the weekend, Sydney was saying that she had over 100 emails from people doing the cost calculator. So it's just a helpful tool that you can kind of, even if you found some plans online, you could just say, I wonder how much this one would cost, or even one of our builds on YouTube that you could go in and see. You could say,
Yeah.
hey, well, Brandy says this is
Yeah,
1,700 square foot and whatever. You can use those information.
Some of these builds you guys are watching and people get on, they're like, how much does it cost? Well, if I would have told you what it costed 3 years ago on the video, it would have been irrelevant to today's cost. So all the more reason we don't do that, because we want our videos to be timeless in that sense. So we don't put costs on that video. Now, if you want to take the perimeters of square footage, porches, shops, on living square footage, all that, and put it into our calculator, you could see what does this cost today, and you could do that every year if you wanted to do it. Now, that is something that you could do. We do not know what it would cost because we're not doing that, because we're working on the builds that we've priced to build now. So we don't have a running tab on these builds based on what they would cost in real time today. So we try to explain that. The other side of it is our clients. We try to maintain some privacy for them. The cost calculator is linktree.com/Texas Best Construction. It's on the link in the bio, Kristen. It's on the link in the bio. You can click straight onto it from there. Now on TikTok or Instagram. Cool. Thank you, Devin. Anything else? Anything else? All minds clear. I think we're kind of getting to that point where we normally try to wrap this up, even though we hate to shut you guys off because there's a bunch of y'all still on here, but I think we've got it. What else? Any other question? How long have you been building, Taylor? So we've been in construction for many years, doing a variety of things. I've been a part of all kinds of things.
Residential and commercial.
Residential, commercial work. I used to travel and do all kinds of different work. Now, as far as a home building, full time, just doing home building, it's been since probably the 2017 era, somewhere in that range. So that kind of gives you just mainly the last 7 years is what we've been after it. I didn't come from a home building necessarily background, but I was doing a lot of wall systems, a lot of wall flashings for commercial buildings, working on restaurants. I was doing a lot of tenant finish out stuff on that kind of work.
Remodeling.
Yeah. And I was doing, I was renovating schools. I was doing some of that kind of stuff. I was doing plaster work. We were doing EFS. I don't do the work myself. I was more managing that work and sales, but that was what we were doing. I was doing insurance restoration. I was doing roofing, all kinds of different roofing stuff. We got a video somewhere, and it's probably listed on our website about how we got started. If you want to kind of watch some of our personal testimony of what kind of happened in our life, because it didn't all just happen this way. We feel like it was all part of a design plan of why we're here, why we're doing what we're doing. The design process, Jennifer, is it's kind of a collective effort. Like, we're not your designer, but if you had somebody you're leaning on, we don't tend to have designers, so to speak, on a lot of our builds, but we work with you to try to help make selections. But you are ultimately the designer. You are the one.
Travis is asking about window brands.
Window brands. Right now, we're using a lot of MI and golly,
it's a crystal question, and I don't know the answer.
not Ply Gem. What's the other? Elevate. I'm using a lot of Elevate and MI.
Oh, there's Brandon's answering him.
There you go.
Elevate and MI.
That's what I was trying to remember. Elevate.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Billy. Billy says, thank you for all the great information. Provide the social media. It's most helpful and appreciated. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. And if you have additional questions, we appreciate you guys sharing all our stuff, all of our content, all of our videos that you're watching on YouTube. This all came out of nowhere. You know, most of our stuff is just single pane, Bob, but I may be wrong about that. I guess what I'm trying to say is single hung. I don't order all the windows. Brandon. Thank you, Travis. Some great questions tonight from you. You really helped us bring it home. Any other questions on some of these other sites that you're seeing?
I don't see any.
Okay. Any insurance companies that you know, insurance companies?
Not. I mean, just the traditional ones that you normally use. I know some of them give a discount for the metal roof.
Once the home is built, it's usually our clients that are doing those things.
Yeah. I did have somebody ask me about insurance during the build process. That I forgot about that one. That was early on. We do provide builder's risk insurance that covers if anything gets, storm damage, or if something disappears, gets taken or something like that. But
somebody says, before we go, can we please explain the difference between a turnkey and a shell only?
Okay. So last week, we actually covered the shell only option on our podcast, or whatever we're calling this. So that has, that's going to have your underground plumbing, your engineered foundation, your steel frame, your interior wall, wood framing with the zip system, your windows and doors on the exterior. You're going to have a metal roof, and your wall panels. So you're going to have a complete exterior of the home all the way through the interior wood framing. That is our shell option. The turnkey is going to be what we discussed tonight, everything on. So the turnkey is going to be completely finished, and the shell is going to get to the interior wood framing that you'll have to do all of the mechanicals and interior finish out.
Love my Joshua Barndominium. Are you my customer? I love it too. Looks great. You're welcome. Thank you. So, all right. It's Mr. Tram here. Aww. That's awesome. Thank you. Mr. or Mrs. Sorry, I can't tell from the deal, but so glad you joined us here. I'm so glad all you guys are here. The goal here is just to communicate, to be a little more accessible for y'all, so that we can get you along in the process, and so we can help you along the way. If you guys have any additional questions, you can put them in the comments on the video. They'll be reposted on our YouTube and Facebook. So you'll be able to, we might have froze up a little bit, but it's a good time to sign off. Meanwhile,
StreamYard's getting tired.
all right. Well, it's good. It's good having all you guys. I think we got more people here on TikTok than we did when we started. So we'll leave you guys going for just a minute.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys all for being here, and we'll repost this video. And I guess we lost Instagram.
It froze up, it looks like.
All right, y'all. I'm Josh Helm.
I'm Brandy Helm.
We're wishing you all the best, and thanks for watching. Texas
Best.
Best.